All right. It goes like this. Welcome, everybody, to a new session called BigBetBob's Brainial Breakdowns. I was in Walmart thinking, for people, we walk past each other and, we look how we look in the face. That's age, that's your facial features becoming about, from an infant all the way to whatever age you are, right? So then you got to wonder, well, why when you walk past people, you get certain looks, like they look at you like you did something to them, when it's judgmental, and we shouldn't do that. Because how can you judge somebody by looking at them when you make wrong and right decisions and stuff like that, right? So that's number one. So there's many levels of that, and you got people that sit in the house all day and watch the news, right? And they watch the news and they watch all this skewed garbage of how it's fed to you, all this negativity, right? And then they immediately go outside and go to Walmart. And then every person that they look at, all they see is what the news showed them. So they see the news in everybody else. That's wrong. See how you trained your brain to do that? Now that's an adult doing that. Now, think about children and kids. You can't, a baby and children can't think for themselves. They can only learn, right? So if they're learning from somebody that's got a skewed perspective on things, then they're only going to behave skewed, and they're only going to act skewed, right? And the baby is going to learn from that, right? And the parent is only going to teach them skewed things. So then the child and the baby grows up with the skewed perception because it's coming from a skewed perspective, and the baby winds up acting off of the information that they're given, along with not knowing, because they're only doing what they learn from their parent, right? So then they're doing that, and then the child does these things, and then after a while, then everybody starts looking at the child like, well, what's wrong with you? And then the child feels alienated, and then he or she turns back and says, hey, wait a minute. Well, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? And then they go back and say, hey, mom, what's wrong with everybody that's picking on me? What's wrong with everybody that's doing things to me? Why is it like this? And then the mom then uses more skewed information to feed into the kid, thus screwing with the R, the mentality of the child. The whole time telling the child that the father isn't this, or it's the father's fault. Or not even singing that, but just leaving it out. And then but wonders what the kid starts wondering, because then the kid is at school, or then the kid is out, and then the kid sees a grown woman, and they see their grown mom as a parent, and then they see that grown woman has a man next to them. And then they look at their mom, and then they notice that there's not there. So then they start wondering in their own brain, well, where's my dad at? And then the mom, again, then that's when she takes her opportunity to inject the real venom of the skew with the R, with the screwed perspective. Let me ask you something. Is that right? Don't answer that. You see, so then all the time that happens, and then the kid has to suffer. Why do that? Why keep that cycle going? Because see, I thought you said in your own mind that, hey, what happened to me, I'm not going to let happen to anybody else. I thought you said that that was wrong and that shouldn't happen. But you decided to deliberately make that happen intentionally. Instead of doing the right thing, you deliberately, you know that voice when it's time to make a decision? You know that voice that says, hey, don't do that. Don't do that wrong thing. Don't hurt that person. Don't make that decision because that decision is going to hurt that person. And then it might hurt other people around it. Don't do that. You know what that feels like. You know what that pain does to people. You know what it does to you. Do you really want to do that? Don't do that. You know better than that. Please don't do that. I'm begging you, don't do it. And you hear that loud and clear. And then you blatantly look that voice in the eye and you say, fuck you. I'm going to do it anyway. I want to do it. I want to hurt people. Because you got this other voice on the other side of you saying, hey, do that. Hey, do that. Yeah, hurt them all. Hurt them, destroy them all. So you listen to that. Is that right? You can answer that now. Type it in the comments. I think people deserve to know exactly what side people stand on. All right? Understand this. It's not a fucking joke out here when you do that because the kids learn exactly from what you're doing and they mimic that. It's not until they're old enough, if they're granted that, if they're, God bless their life, that they don't make decisions enough with that skewed information to get their fucking life cut short, that God to actually give them and bring them out of the darkness and say, and show them that there's a better way. All the while the Father knows this and wants to instill this in the kids and has attempted and had attempted and instilled it in your kids because I was good enough to be their stepdad. But then you knew that and then decided to have a kid with me and then decided to take my daughter away from me because I'm not good enough to instill those same morals inside of my daughter. The logic, the genuine being a good person. Is that the right thing to do? Don't answer that. Do you know what? Answer it. BigBetBob's biological brain perspective breakdown is just how I think. It's how I always thought. We'll be back for another one. Thank you guys. God bless. Happy holidays. Love you, little Lily. Always. Daddy loves you. And the family loves you.